Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I'm David Ito, Chief Instructor of the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. Welcome to part 2 of our interview with Dunkelman Sensei. So I have a question. Can you explain your understanding hard versus soft in Aikido?
Yeah. People think that the hard way is egotistical and the soft way is the way to lose your ego. That if I'm imposing my will upon you, hitting you really strong, I'm exploiting the ego part of my human nature. Whereas if we train compliantly, I am now becoming egoless. I'm just floating egolessly. I have no power to resist, and this is the way. This is the Zen way to train: to lose your ego.
Yes, that's
To
what
assert your ego and to lose your ego.
that is some aspect of what I have been told it is.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's just the opposite.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. When I observe people training this I guess the word is compliant way of training, where the uke they use the word blending right, blending to I'm sorry, sometimes I'm thinking in Japanese here, so it takes a little second to translate. Because my entire training in Aikido is in Japanese. None of it's in English. Okay, so they try to blend or combine or harmonize. They have a bunch of words. That the word in Japanese is awase, but awase has like a million. Yeah, no, awase is it can be translated as puree. Your slushy is awase. You take vegetables, so it doesn't really mean that exactly. Okay, but you understand what I'm saying. That try to blend with the person's movement and become one, and this way you lose your ego, whatever.
Because your mental hitch was what prevents you from blending smoothly with this.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's the opposite. When you train in hard training, I hit you, okay, as hard as I can, and then you unbalance me. And I'm now in a state of limbo, okay? This is the true egoless state. To be suddenly thrust out, facing death, in Chiba's case, literally, I didn't know what was going to happen, and scary, and you have not a second to think. You are truly egoless. Every time you attack, you completely give up your life. You give up. You truly give up. And if you've never trained this way, again, if you didn't train this way with Chiba, you just got a smack in the face. Wake up. Literally, hit me. And you had to really attack. Like your life depended on it. So you would attack, and then because you attack so powerfully, you were knocked off your feet, kazushi. And at the moment of kazushi, you're basically at the mercy of the teacher, of the thrower, right? And that's like you're dying. You have to. You actually give your life. Your ego is your life. You give it up at that moment. You experience this egolessness. Okay. Whereas in the compliant type of training, the uke is entirely from beginning to the very end, entirely in control of his or her body. Never lose their ego. Always present. And their ego is always a part of the technique. And the uke is in control of the technique, not nage. Nage is walking around and you're just complying with his movements. But in China, they have a thing called the four-legged beast, the four-legged dragon. Have you ever heard this expression?
No.
When it's a Budo term in Chinese martial arts, where let's say you hold hands, you give your hand to your opponent, and they give you dote dori. Okay, they grab you, and he grabs your opponent grabs you really strong. You really feel a connection. Okay, that is the lowest form of ki. When I'm grabbing you hard, you really feel me hard, and you feel connected with me. That is the lowest, absolute. There are many levels to ki. That's the lowest level. That's the absolute lowest level of ki.
Why?
And it's called the four-legged dragon, because that dragon has all four legs on the ground.
Oh, so the grabbing really strong. That's called the four-level dragon.
The two of us in connection is called the four. I'm two legs, you're two legs. We're now the four-legged dragon.
I see.
So, and it's the sturdiest, most solid stance for the dragon. So, in other words, 50-50. You have me, I have you. There's no advantage here. So when we feel that, oh yeah, now you really got me, and now I feel connected, that's the lowest level of ki. It's one level, but it's the lowest.
Is it because it feels the most solidified?
It's solids. Yes, we go. Yes, yeah. Well, you can go up in the rock and then solids. Yeah, but there's that interpretation. But because you don't want to merge or connect or blend with the other person. You want to take their power.
So it's resistive.
No, but the next level is to bring the power into you. You grab me hard. I want to then somehow assimilate your power. This is the next level. We grab together, we're both equal. Okay, but I don't want to be equal. I want to absorb your energy into this, or take it somewhere. Where I'm going to take it will depend on the martial art we're studying. But the next stage is to absorb the other person's energy. In fact, Giants they say, steal it, take it. I'm taking your ki. Okay, I take it and absorb it, and it becomes mine. And we become, yes, one, but I'm the one.
Right.
Okay, not us. Yes, it's one, but me. I'm the one, and I take your energy into me. And then how you move that, and how you direct it, and what you do with it is then it goes into start spiraling. But we have to talk about that. But it's a very different perspective to, yes, we become one, we're connected, but me, just me. And I don't give you and if I give you my energy, what kind of martial arts is that?
Isn't that the one theory of Byoki? The energy from the universe comes inside of you, and then you do not channel it out. Because it doesn't channel out, wherever it stopped is where you get Byoki's disease, right? So that's why you're supposed to go like bzz out your palm, because the energy from the universe can't stop in your hip, can't stop in your colon, and so it has to come out.
Yeah. That's the next day. What you do with that energy is it's decided by the different martial arts and different applications. But I'm sorry, but this level with most people in Aikido think, okay, solid.
Right.
I feel you, you feel me, we're connected. That's like the ground zero. That's not ki yet. That's not ki. That what people think of this, like, this is ki. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is it. No, that's like not it. That's like just the bottom rung on the ladder. And then you think about moving ki around. Yes, yeah, all that stuff is true. And how you move that, there's all sorts of theories and ways and concepts. And I have mine, but I learned from Ito Sensei about moving these things around. And you have your ideas. But what most people think of that solid feeling is nothing yet. Nothing's happened yet. And in fact, as you get better, you don't even get to the point of that contact. You bring, as the person comes to you, you bring that energy into yourself and start moving it. Well, you start moving before they even come at you. Like Ito Sensei, before you even he called it shikuru shunkan, the moment of contact. That it starts way before. It's starting now. You haven't even done anything yet. It's already started. It's a very different phenomenon. And what you do with that energy is different. And again, I hate to say this, but the reason people do this compliant Aikido is because their Aikido doesn't work. Aikido works really well. It works really well. It's not perfect. It's not magic. Most of the stuff I don't care what martial art you see in those videos, most of it's nonsense. I mean, Shorinji Kempo, all that stuff. The Kung Fu, it's all Yarase, it's all like phony.
Because it's at that level of the four-legged dragon.
Oh no, it's not for that reason. It's just because people like to believe. They like to believe in stuff. They want to believe it works, which is fine.
Well, that's in Chinese medicine. They talk about like solidified ki energy is the table, right? So, but ki energy is way more powerful. 90% of ki is all ephemeral, unseen, unfeeling. But we as human beings have to have that, knock on wood, to feel it. Go, oh, that's ki, right? And so that's why they, like you say, it's the lowest level because it's the most solidified.
Well, the way I to change the topic slightly, the way I people ask how do you feel ki? How do you know when you have it? How do you recognize it? How is it? When is it strength? When is it not strength? You know, how do you recognize it? What does it feel? Jay, you're the great master. What does it feel like? You know, and here's what I'll tell you. It feels like. I mean, here's what the way I explain it. Imagine yourself in a pitch black room where you can't see anything. You have to walk through this room, and there are obstacles in the room. It's pitch black, you can't see anything. So you're out there with your hands feeling around in the dark, okay? And you don't want to bang into things. And when you feel something, you know to go around it. That's to me key. It's like this. You put your hand gently out there in the universe, and you feel around, but you're out, you're extended out there. You're sending out these radar waves so you don't hit objects. And then when you feel something, you move your entire body. You don't just pull your hand, you move, and you feel that's to me what ki feels like. Or extension. People say extension. I mean, it's this feeling of, to feel your way in the dark. But your fingers are very sensitized. You just feel at the tips. And your whole body is like sensitive. It's not just you're kicking around them because you might bump into something sharp and cut yourself. You want to be very careful as you move. So that to me is the feeling of ki. It doesn't sound like, a rushing stream or a waterfall, but to me that's the experience, the sensation of ki. And you can understand it, can't you? It's not like I'm not being mystical. I'm being, that's how it feels to me.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but for other people, they may not understand it because they think everything must be tangible.
Well, I mean, to me, turn out the lights and walk around your bedroom, and you'll bump into something. It'll be quite tangible, but I think you can extending your senses.
But I think people really get caught up in that, the feeling of it, and that ki is this thing that if you don't have it, you're dead, right? So and then everyone has it, everyone can feel it, but you can't really feel it. But because you move, that is ki, right? And so people today really want to know what is ki, and so they really want to find that tangible. So when the person attacks you and then grabs your hand, that pullback, I broke their balance, I got their ki.
Oh.
So I think for you to giving that explanation in the dark is a very good representation so that you can really turn off your senses, right? Because your mind and your eyes, the light in the room give you this false sense of what you think ki is.
Well, for me, it's again leaving everything to the body to sense. And again, I'm a kinesthetic person. I don't visualize, so I mean, it gives that same sense. But I'll tell you one thing, though. You say people, Asia, nobody cares about this. Nobody talks. I mean, when I've traveled around Asia or Japan, nobody talks about ki. When I talk about this, no. China maybe okay, but everywhere, Malaysia, wherever, Taiwan, everywhere where I've traveled around, and because I'm from Japan, they say, please teach your class, and they're like, what? They know it because think about it. Hombu Dojo brought Aikido to them. Have you ever heard anybody at Hombu Dojo talk about ki?
No, I guess they're not allowed to.
Well, yeah, I mean that was what Doshu's. Oh, am I gonna be controversial here? Maybe you have to cut this part. His greatest sin was, taking the ki literally and figuratively and metaphorically out of Aikido.
Someone told me that was the negotiated settlement.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Doshu got Aiki Kai, Tohei got ki, and everything associated with ki. Unbendable arm, blah, 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 and Doshu is not allowed to use that.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know how true that is. Who knows?
It doesn't make. Must have the same thing with Saito then, because basically, modern Aikido is whatever Saito doesn't do, and whatever Toei doesn't do, or whatever they do, Saito does, whatever Toei does, whatever's left, take those out. Whatever's left over, that's modern Aikido.
So, you know, this when you talk about hard and soft, though, you why why do people want to experience hard in that way that we were talking about in the previous definition? You know, I grab you, and then soft is me letting go of my ego.
But soft, you don't. Again, it's just you don't let go. If you to let go of your ego, is to let go of control. But the uke is in total control of their movements. You know, I watch these videos, and uke is like totally balanced. The grace is beautiful. You know, if you look at the old videos, everyone's like falling off their feet and tripping over themselves. You know, look at the Ono Sensei story. And they're tripping over themselves. No one's floating around and gracefully. You know, so but these people now they're always to be in control of your body is to have an ego.
But that's what you're talking about, is this idea that, like, okay, when the person cuts you down, the only moment in which you're truly alive is that one moment before the light goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's this moment that you truly live this egoless life. But I don't know if it's PC to talk about that in the way, and especially this, you know, Freudian westernized thing where everything has to have a category to this idea, and then everything's about living. But that the moment between when the sword is cutting you or just about to cut you is your only true moment of life. And so when you're falling, right, in that moment, before as you fall and hit the ground, there's this moment, and that's the only moment where you truly were egoless. And that's what I was imagining you're talking about.
I don't mean. Well, no, I mean my way of this. You can repeat the.
No, but I mean, but I mean, it's repeated every throw. But that we in the West think about it from the Nage point of view. Of the Nage is, you know, a great person and pure inside, and then they can throw the person down with their purity, and that's their egolessness. But
Oh no, the egoless. No, you learn from being uke.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that's where, like, when we talk about this idea of the samurai and stuff like that, they knew that the moment right before death is the only moment where you were truly egoless.
Well, I mean the samurai. Okay, I don't.
You know, so then recreating that in the throw, that moment where you're thrown, and the interval between when you're thrown and you hit the ground, which is, you know, a split second, that's the moment where you let go of your ego. And that's because when you were talking about, you know, your understanding of hard versus soft, it's really interesting because the West's version of hard versus soft is completely different.
Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, I know that, and all I can say is I know what I got.
Yeah.
I see what other people get, and I'm okay with what I have, the way I got it. You know, I feel I genuinely. I mean, of course, I'm inquisitive, want to learn and study and learn, but I feel settled within myself that I understand Aikido. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I got something from the people who taught me, and I feel it. I feel it.
How did you get it?
Well, again, I think that it's the entire process. You know, you can't. It's like if you ever studied Nishio Sensei's Aikido, you know, in order to do any one technique, you have to understand every other technique. It's like everything's connected with everything else, so it's really hard to say at this point. But I mean, there was a point at which I trained with Mito Sensei where like something, a light bulb went off, and I said, "Oh, I got it."
But to have gotten that I got it moment.
For me, I know what I had to go through. Unfortunately, all through all this muck. But I think I don't know if there's a simpler way. It's too late for me, but you're the teacher now. Maybe you can find it. But I mean, I think that and the Japanese way is how do you become egoless by constantly, they call it bullying, but it's constantly beating down the ego, constantly putting you down. You're the
People
prime example of that for that.
People call that bullying today.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, for your teacher also, you know, and you could, is it, you know, sadomasochism? I don't know, but is this a symbiotic relationship? Is it unhealthy relationship? You know, I don't know. But the Japanese way is to beat the shit out of your ego.
Well, but that's that thing, is that we're not talking about the ego of the person who's beating you up.
No.
We're talking about you as the person who's getting beat up, and that moment, right? Those things where you let go of that thing, right? Whatever that thing might be. And then that enables you to have an egoless moment.
Well, okay. What I have to say is, okay, I understand that you're saying, like, for me, the egoless experience comes from ukemi, and the West is saying the person who doesn't have the ego is the nage.
Right.
Okay, that's
But what you're saying is that you achieve this through this. You have to go through the levels of hard training. You have to
absolutely.
go through the levels, and that people today aren't really going through the levels. They're all trying to jump to this place of like spiritual Zen, and then they never go.
Well, if they, God bless them, if they can find. I mean, I'm not saying my way is the only way. Lots of ways of going. What I am saying is, if you want to attain egolessness or a certain, there's a thing called flow,
Yeah.
which is a kind of egoless state, and like I think Mito Sensei was constantly in flow. Okay, our classes, he never gave the name of a technique. He never said, let's do this, never even gave the names of the techniques. There were no, okay, Ikkyo Shoman, let's go, Shoman Ikkyo. No, never said it once. He'd go on there, he'd do a bunch of stuff. All the classes were completely jiwaza, completely free training. Nothing, okay? He was in a constant state of flow. And he kept saying, damn, I can't get enough of this. Can't get enough of this, he would say, this is so great. And I think that this state of flow, like I feel it in Aikido, in myself, I feel the state of flow, okay? I'm not like, put foot here, put foot there, do this. For me, people are like, they have a bunch of instructions in their mind, and they're trying to go through the list, in their minds. And the way people train is like stop motion. Okay, go here. Oh, Sensei said, no, put my foot here. Okay. Then I go here. Oh, no, Sensei said, put my foot there. And they're constantly stopping and checking and confirming and check. They're checking each, like, and the reason they're checking because their teacher taught that way. Teachers check. They're giving them these stations of teaching points. My teacher, nothing. And we had students who came in there at the 3 months, they were doing beautiful Aikido, and they didn't even know the name of the techniques, okay? So this state of flow to me is what I would call equivalent to egolessness. And to get that state of flow, to get there is through ukemi.
Because, like what you're talking about this, like, I mean, I would imagine, I think I trained hard. And I think that people really can only train at that hard level for somewhere between 10 to 12 years.
Absolutely.
Because after that, you're totally become messed up from all these different reasons. Like, and that you see, like for me, like today, as a 55-year-old, I'm injured, I teach a lot of classes. The thing I really work on, like, don't lose it, don't get upset. And so like I am working on it from the Naga side, because I do teach a lot. And that the only time when I feel like I am egoless is when I take ukemi. Like when I take ukemi for the students, or I take the class, doing the technique, no. But the times when I feel the most egoless,
No.
or not, I mean, egoless is kind of a weird word, but when I'm not focused on my ego, is when,
because you're not focused on yourself.
Yeah, is when I'm taking ukemi. Yeah. But then when I'm walking around town, I'm like, don't flip out, don't say nothing. Oh, that person cut me off, don't do it. Like, I'm trying to rein that aspect of my ego in. And so I was thinking about it, and I don't know if this is a good way to think about it or not, is that when you get in this flow state, it's a subconscious state, right? And that subconscious state is that place where when that person cuts you off, like, it didn't matter. But my ego goes like, dude, you almost hit me, and then my conscious ego gets all mad.
I guess.
But I can control in the subconscious state, because when I take ukemi, I'm in a subconscious state. When I'm not taking ukemi, I'm in a conscious state. Like you said, put your foot here, put your hand there. Where's my thing? Extend my energy, extend my ki, and then I'm going through all the whole checklist.
I'm so sorry for you that you have this experience. Okay, I mean, I think that I don't think it's not mystical. I mean, all these checklists, yes, they're all important, but
I don't know how to get there on the Naga side. I can do it just fine on the uke side.
I think in the Buddhist tradition, it's I truly think it's a transmission. It's something, it's like, it's a zap. I know that's ridiculous, but something.
Because, like the thing is, I used to do this thing, which I don't advocate people do, is that my mind would get into a subconscious state on the naga side, and then, and this is, I'm not even telling you a lie, my eye would blur out your face. And because my eye blurred out your face, I had no problem kicking your ass. And then I kicked your ass with so little care and concern for you that every person was like, this is hard. You're so mean. People would say, I felt like you were going to kill me. Some people would say, I go, why'd you just fall down? They go, the look on your face looked like you were just going to kill me. And my face would go blank, but in my mind's eye, I would blank out their face so that there was no personalization to it. And then today I'm trying not to do that because so many people were like, you're such a, jerk, and David hurt me and all this stuff. And I go, oh, I better stop doing that. And so now I do this thing all the time where I go, hey, how's it going? All right. I go, all right. I purposely personalize them so I don't go into that mode and start working them over.
Well, I have words of encouragement for you. Everybody I know who kind of got this mastery, they're all badasses. Chiba, and this is one of them, Ito Sensei, he was really, he got in fights with swords, man. This guy was the real deal. He went after people with swords, So all these people, all those great masters of Aikido, they're really bad people. They're really tough, they're really rough, and eventually they had this realization. I don't know what Chiba, you say Chiba and is older, got older, and changed, they all changed, and whether this is part of the process, all I know is all the people who talk about flow and all this, and they're still wherever they are, but the people who really were bad became really good. And even in war, I've seen that, the most toughest generals, became architects of peace. Eisenhower, these people became, that changed. So I think it's I was never that, I was always in the middle kind of person, but these people who go to extremes, it seems that it's a circle. And I have great hope for you if you still feel that way. No, seriously, that, I feel that, again, Mito Sensei, I don't want to go into these stories, of him, but he is really bad. Bad boy.
And we're talking about bad as in Michael Jackson bad.
No, bad as in jail and, going, bad, he didn't go to jail, but he got into trouble, fighting and a lot of fighting, street fighting. And, Chiba Sensei, he, college students have like a pin when they're representing the school.
Uh-huh.
He got into so many fights, he had like a jar full of those pins. Like this big, just full of those
Trophies
from all those fights.
We call that serial killer type level stuff.
Exactly. I don't want to talk. We're not talking about your family now. No, I'm saying that, and again, he became this, different person. I think it's like you have to experience it in order to know what you don't want to be. You can't just say, I don't want to be, a serial. I don't know.
One must know evil before they can cast it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, even in myself, I see, things. I mean, I got my share of fights, but I live in New York, of course. But I mean, I think you have to see what not to do is a way, and I don't think it's not for all, not all for, I think I feel a kind of fatalism with you. You feel like it's all, what am I going to do about it? But I think you're on a path. I think it's a tough one. You're on a tough one, but it leads somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, it's just, you get to this place where it becomes so lonely because no one wants to come to class. No one wants to train with you. Everyone's like, oh, your standards are too high. When I train with you, you roughed me up, you beat me up. And then you think, dude, like maybe I shouldn't be like this. But I get what you're saying now when you talk about this idea of that is what truly leads you to this egoless this lack of ego?
Well, what's that there's a Ibsen play. Can't remember the name of it now. Where this guy dies and he goes to purgatory and he meets the button collector. Peer Gynt is the name of the play. Peer Gynt, and he he says, "Okay, time to melt you down to make more buttons." Because what do you mean? He says, no, you're just gonna melt. We do everybody. We melt you down and we make more buttons, more souls. But I'm me. He says, well, okay, well, fair enough. Did you do anything really, really, really bad in your life? Because you're really, really bad, then yeah, that's special. We'll treat you in a different way. No. Well, did you do anything really, really good in your life? Really good. You saved like 1,000 people, and then no. Okay, button. So then the whole play is about him trying to do something really, really good or really something bad to be something. So I think there's so your element of that when you're saying that I think you have to really experience these to be anybody, like not just be like everybody. You have to experience these incredible highs and lows to be something. So I mean Chiba Sensei with this whole thing with eyes glazed over when you mentioned it, I think that was definitely him. He didn't care. I mean, I don't think he cared. He used to go into the state where he would, you know, I couldn't throw people like that just, out of, So I think you go on kind of an autopilot kind of thing. But again, I think that's your path. That's what's gonna make you, and you got a couple more years on left on the machine. So maybe
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My body's like, stop doing that.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think again, maybe I felt, I felt that if I hadn't met Mito Sensei, I would just quit or, done something else. So I felt that he put me on the right path. So maybe,
You know, when you think about like these concepts, why is it seems that like Aikido becomes very difficult to understand. Why do you think that is?
well, I think it's because no, too many people are saying, are when we started out, we had like 5, 10 teachers. That was it. And they knew what they were doing because they got it from the master, Yamaguchi, and Ichihashi Sensei, all these teachers, Osawa Sensei, all the first generation, they all knew what they were doing. And even if we just copied them mindlessly, later on we said, oh, now I know why he did that, because we had a perfect model to model ourselves against. But now everyone's saying so much. In those days, nobody talked. Nobody said anything, okay? They just learned it body to body, We learned it through our bodies. We didn't learn it through our brains, our ears. So many people are saying so many things, it's all nonsense, you know? And very few people are saying anything of merit to me, And I don't think it's all that complicated, all that difficult. I really don't. But you have to get the correct information. Like, information is garbage, It's just having information is nothing. You have to be able to deal with it and sort it out. Information is everywhere. I don't know. And most of it's not true. A lot of it these days is not even true, the information you get. But even if the information is true, so what? What are you going to do with that information? You have to deal with it and categorize and understand it. So you need someone to interpret it for you, you know?
And that would be your teacher.
That would be your teacher. Yeah, for me, and you have to pick the right teacher. That's a bit of a crapshoot too, right? Can be.
What kind of things did you talk to Mito Sensei about when you I mean, I would imagine you spent time with him.
Yeah, a lot of time with him, but he just said, it basically said the same thing over and over again, And he, he was a student of Tohei. We all were at that time, but he wasn't a big talker. He would just say, we have a party at the dojo. People would get drinking, and he just sit there and like do aikido. It's like, you know, and we trained at this gymnasium, I guess you'd call it. And many people are doing different martial arts and doing dance and all sorts of stuff. And they'd see him teaching. People from other martial arts would walk up to him, And they grab him and what was that? He would do, anybody would walk up to me and teach them Aikido. If they're ballet, whatever, or they're doing karate, he would teach them Aikido. And they were all go, what's the what?
And he would do his thing.
He would do his thing on them, and they were all go, what the?
I mean, that's incredible because, like a lot of people can do it only on their student.
Oh no, this guy again in parking lots, like people are getting on their bicycle. Like, "Hey, I saw you inside. Can you show me what you were doing?" Yeah, okay, sure. No, everybody, yeah. You can do it anytime, anywhere. You love to do it. And just like I can't get enough of this. He just kept saying,
Yeah,
"Can't get enough of this."
What was this? The Japanese saying you said that I can't get enough of this?
Tamanai.
Yeah.
Tamanai. Can't get enough of this. Just sit there. Tamanai no. Yeah.
But I mean, did him being able to do it on so many different people get people to join?
I don't think so. No. And again, he had many, many students, but how many of them, according to him, none of them got it. It just me.
You and only you?
Okay. I mean, whether he was right or wrong, that's we'll leave it for other people to decide. But as he kept, I'm sorry. And I kept telling him, don't say that. It's not nice to say that in front of people. He said, no, it's you. Don't. And I trained with his students that they didn't get it. And again, it was very traumatic for me to get it. I mean, I spent like a year going from dojo to dojo, don't throw and stand like a moron. And at the end of taking your stand there with this, people said, "So what rate did you say you were?" So I'm 6 done. Seriously, you? They would insult me. And everywhere was he said, "Don't throw." I said, "I'm not throwing. I don't know. I'm not throwing." Said, but you have to throw. So he said, "Don't throw. I don't throw." So I'm not throwing. I don't know what it means.
Well, I mean, that's the right. For instance, you said if you can find one true student in your lifetime, you are considered a great teacher. So his koan is
Feel, become one, make a path, or in Japanese, Aikido, and don't throw.
so when you were standing around not throwing, how long did that take for you to move through that?
A good 6, 8 months and I was like in California, like these really famous dojos, and the more actually, as I said, I'm pretty good, strong uke. The more fringe, the more out there the dojo was about ki, the less they could do anything on me. I found and the more they used strength, the more they tried to muscle me at the end. They always try to muscle me at the end. Like I couldn't see their muscling. They go ki, and they always try to throw muscle in the end and say that was ki.
Did Mito Sensei talk about how he realized that?
No, but I mean, there were different stages of what he said. Like, okay, he taught for many years, and you have these catchphrases, and those catchphrases they were different over the years. And the last one was this one. Okay, that was in there. But he would say he had a look at these. So I mean, I talked to his students from before, and he had well, some of them are kind of obscure Japanese, like "fureru no mi" was his big catchphrase. Talk about obscure. Only touch. Only touch. For like 10 years. Only touch. So just touch.
When did he start this transition to this? What he's
Okay, good question, because total badass, starting fights with swords and shit like this. Okay, this guy, right? And getting into fights, and he was a sushi chef, and he knew how to be. He knew his way around the knife. Let me tell you, and he was right up in there with Kuwamori Sensei, with badass, bad, not badass, bad, just plain bad. And then his heart gave out. He had bypass surgery, and had a pacemaker put in, and he couldn't do that anymore.
How old was he?
In his 40s.
Really? That's early.
Yeah, pretty young.
Yeah.
And of course the technology back then was not as like it is now. So he couldn't exert himself at all. He couldn't walk up and down stairs. He just didn't have the pulmonary power to do that sort of thing. So that's when he began to discover this. And his influence, biggest influence would be Yamaguchi Sensei and Toei Sensei would be the biggest if you want to see his biggest mentors in this. But in all, everyone has to find their own path, But so that's when he began to find a different kind of power, a different kind of word of how to create ki, how to create power. And interestingly enough, I never could understand Yamaguchi from Yamaguchi Sensei, but he was able to teach me a lot about what he did. But for most people in Aikido, I think this thing about power, they believe, okay, when you're young, you have to use 100% of your power, but as you get better and better, you can start to curb the amount of power you put into your technique.
That is the common one.
100, 80, 60, 40, 50, and when you get really good, 0. No, wrong. That's not the way. It's a totally different system. It's not that. And you know it's not that because you've tried that and it doesn't work. You know it. I'm saying? And that's why people have to be compliant, because you're not putting out any energy. You're just walking around, So it's energy, but you have to, again, absorb that energy. If you attack me, I have to absorb that energy. And if you don't give me an energy, then nothing's going to happen. You have to attack me. You have to give me something, and then I can put that on a vector or move it around somewhere. But if you just walk up to me and touch me, you haven't attacked me. So, there's no energy being exchanged.
Does it have to touch you?
Well, not necessarily, but I'm saying there has to be some energy in the system. In order to move, the system needs some energy, needs some gas in the engine, okay? And who's going to give me the gas for the engine? Not me, the attacker. This is the
reason why I say that is because you look at some of these people and they are nowhere near the person doing it. They're several feet, a meter away, and then the person's making them fall.
Well, there's a great master named Ching Ching in New York. I don't know if you heard of him. He would pile up bricks, and he would put his hand on top of 10 bricks. He'd go, like that. He said, number 5, number 5 would break. He'd go, 2 would break. And then he would people would attack him, and he would look at them and they'd fly. And I said, okay, fine. I'm going to check this out. So I went up there. It's okay, throw me. I'm from New York, throw me. So, it only works on beginners. It's just, yeah, beginners, because they're gullible, I guess. They feel the energy, But no, that's not the way things work. Okay, if this waze is the system of moving energy around, where is that energy going to come from? And if you're whittling your energy down from 100 to 0, so you're not providing any energy, so where is the energy coming from? Of the person? Entirely. It has to come entirely from the other person.
But they have to be within a certain vicinity of you, or they.
Oh, you mean no touch Aikido?
Yeah.
Okay, if a bee attacks you, of course, it looks like you're no touch, attack. Because if a bee attacks you, it looks like you're, it's possible to elicit this kind of, sudden, like a bee or wasp attacks you, and someone sitting across the street will think you're just moving in a crazy way. But there are ways of eliciting that kind of reaction. But whether you can do it more than once is the suspect. Okay, you got me one time, but you really gonna get me the second time? With that, I don't think so.
I don't know who was saying it just the other day when we were talking. Is that they say, "Oh, Buddha only works once."
That was me. Yeah.
Is that you?
Well, that's a saying.
Yeah.
A technique only works once. That's not me. It's a kotowaza, a kind of proverb.
Yeah.
Buddha proverb. So I don't think it's reproducible.
I think that's an old school, olden days, because once they saw it once, it wouldn't work twice on you. Maybe today it probably worked 4 or 5 times because people.
The person saw you do it. They got now they've categorized it. They've logged that into.
Figured out how.
Yeah. So in that sense, that's why in the old days the teachers never really taught anybody, because they were afraid. I teach you then you're gonna just take my technique, and what's gonna happen to Daito to you if everything is leaked out. The old, like I said, the old masters, they didn't teach anybody anything for years. And they cultivated a certain, relationship. Then they began to teach you. But there's like the stuff for the masses, the stuff for the okuden. There's always levels, and every martial art has this ultimate level. Okuden it's called, the secret techniques, not really secret. They're secret because they're not telling anybody. There's nothing special about them, nothing special, maybe about them, but nobody knows them.
Right.
You have an advantage. So they haven't been done the one time. So,
But Mito Sensei's was not Buddha works once.
I mean, yeah, he was. No, he was, because again, the classes never like today. We'll do the technique one, this one. You would attack him. He just keep moving. You keep attacking. There was no attacks. There was nothing. Everything was free. And for the students, he'd say, okay, if you want to do shomen, again, he never used the terminology, never. And people in my dojo, when they would take a test, people would say, yokuichi shihonage, huh? They had no idea what it was. So we had to prep them on the names and stuff before they took exams. But he would get up there and say, okay, come on. And you'd attack him and for a couple minutes say, okay, dozo. It was Jiwaza, the entire class is Jiwaza. Now I tried to do that. Okay. So I teach technique 1, technique 2, technique 3, technique 4. It's okay, now Jiwaza. Do whatever you like. And they just practice technique 4.
Yeah.
But him, it was all just, if you've seen the demonstrations, that was every class was like that.
But do you think today it has to be codified some way, or?
Everyone thinks that, but again, all I know is I saw people come to the dojo, and learn that system, and they were remarkable. They would pick it up, and not everybody, of course.
How long would it take them to pick it up?
6 months.
6 months of being there,
Yeah,
training
they
5 days a week.
they would. Well, no, they didn't. No, not necessarily. They would train a couple days a week, but they because he believed this concept of shizentai, the natural body. He thought Aikido was a natural movement, and also natural reaction to movement, which is also lacking in modern Aikido. They stand like that,
Yeah.
and and like that people enter. Who's going to stand like that? There's got to be. You do something, I have to respond, and it's my responses are limited. I can run away, I can turn to you. There are not that many responses. I can jab you with my elbow. It's not infinite number of responses, So, but you have to think about everything's in motion. And I train with judo people. I train with kumite people. Professional fighters will come to this class to learn to do kumite, and it was free for all. And he never said anything. It's just a free for all. As I should. And then then he would stop and say, "Okay, next, let's do this," and he would do something else. And but yeah, I learned a lot about what doesn't work.
You were talking the other day about the true teacher doesn't. You and I had some interesting talks about teachers, but you were saying something like the teacher doesn't show.
Well, the teacher doesn't show you what he or she can do. The teacher shows you what you can do.
What do you mean by that?
That people get up and and they demonstrate their Aikido, and you look at them as, well, it's fantastic, but they're just showing off. They're showing off what they can do, they're showing off, and nobody can reproduce it in the class. Which, okay, that's unfortunate, but the teacher's job should be not to show off what I can do, but to show you what you're capable of doing, to help you not imitate me, but to try to get, again, Shizenta, get it out of you, pull this out of you, rather than just mimic me, and use your natural movements. That's what the Mito Sensei was really good at, getting people to elicit the technique from the person, rather than we say osheikomo, to teach down. So that, to me, I mean, it's a rare person who could do that. Mostly people demonstrate and they have people copy. And you're trying to get the people to copy you.
Right.
It's a little not that exactly. And O Sensei had this ability. Look at all his students; they're all so different. The one thing you can say about all his students, they're all incredibly different, unique. They're Tada Sensei and Watanabe Sensei, Arikawa Sensei. Oh, this is so wide, such a crazy, completely different. And what can you say about modern Aikido? It all looks the same. You go to Hombu now, everyone's doing exactly the same thing. old days, the Embu, everyone was so different. You would go there to learn all these different martial arts that were Aikido. But now everyone's doing exactly the same thing. So he had that ability to elicit your Aikido out of you, O Sensei. I think he had this ability because they're so different. That's one interpretation. Other interpretations, he never came to Hombu dojos. He would come once a month. They try and take notes and figure out what he's doing, then spend the rest of the time trying to figure out what he just did. So everyone had to learn on their own. That's another possible interpretation. But also, in this whole concept of love, I think O Sensei weaponized love.
Weaponized in what way?
Okay, when you meet in a battle, in a fight, when you're scared, you're frightened, and you can't be like, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. That doesn't work. You have to have some mechanism in your mind to trick yourself into not being afraid. Okay, so one way is respect. If you, like in the samurai, the movies, they're bowing to each other, they bow and they say their names, and bow. You can't, you're not afraid of someone you respect.
Right.
If your spouse, if you're afraid of your spouse, you can't respect them and be afraid of them. You can be afraid of them and you won't respect them, but you have to create a feeling within yourself of, of peace, of calmness. And if I respect you and you respect me, it makes me calm. It calms me down. I can't be upset and respect you. That's one way. That's used a lot in Eastern religions as well. And love is another one. If I love you in Christianity, if I love you, it's a way of quelling my fear. Not the perfect method, but if I feel love for you, I can't feel love and fear at the same time. I can't feel respect and fear at the same time. And the problem with the battlefield is you're afraid. And how do you deal with that fear? How do you calm yourself down? And this peace and love is a way to look at a person and you're attacking me, but I feel love and harmony with you. So it calms me down. Otherwise, just keep building your fear and being more and more reactive.
So how did O Sensei weaponize it?
Well, I'm just saying he made it. Well, weaponize is a bit of an overstatement or maybe dramatic statement. But I'm just saying I think that's how he was a fighter, a soldier on the battlefield, and I think he discovered that this universal peace, this harmony, this love was the only way to overcome fear and to feel peace and calmness, and he used that to become a great warrior. He was a fighter, and I think he he became the weapon because he had this power to. And he got it from, Deguchi Onodera, all these people, when they teach him Omotokyo, to get this peace of mind. And I'm not talking about anything so radical. I mean, the Bhagavad Gita is exactly this. As your karma is to be a soldier, you're transporting these people to the next level of existence. That's your job, to kill them and release them to the next level. And they gave Arjun, Krishna gave Arjun the ability to kill people because he felt he was helping them out. Okay, that kind of weaponization is what I mean, to make so, and I think that was part of his shtick, his philosophy. Is any of this making sense?
Yeah, a lot of it. So what's one question you wish I would ask you?
Well, it's a question one of your students asked me, Stephen, what should be, as a beginner, what should I be mindful of? What's an important point to learn as a beginner? And I think this is an important thing. I told him that, practically speaking, first is that, when you use your strength, you always have to to use strength, you have to put your shoulder into it. And in Aikido, we don't put our shoulder into it. So whenever you feel you're putting your shoulder into it, relax your shoulders and relax and this way you can, at the very initial state of training, you can begin to move in an Aikido type way. You're not going to start muscling. And this is probably is conducive to creating the Aikido body. Okay. The next thing is when you get scared or you think someone's going to hurt you, sit down. Just sit. They'll stop. Okay. That's all they want is get you on the ground. So if you feel scared or like they're tranking you or they're going to hurt you or whatever it is you're worried about, just sit down. They'll be surprised, but you'll be fine. So I think those 2 points for beginners are essential.
What about intermediates?
You're on your own. Intermediate, it's well, I think the same. Well, I think you're past the point of sitting down, but I think the most important point is, Aikido is ukemi. I think it's all about ukemi. It's all about receiving, and throwing. The nage part of it is also it's all about receiving the energy. So you have to learn, and you can't learn how to move unless you see how you're being moved. It's all part of this. It's the other side of the coin. You can't be one or the other. So I think ukemi is extremely important for that. And again, I think you have to attack sincerely. If you don't attack sincerely, you're just dancing around. And okay, I said dancing around. I mean, it sounds like I don't. It's okay. I mean, it's fine. Whatever your Aikido you're doing, I'm not gonna, it's not. You don't have to do what I'm doing. If you're happy with what you're doing, and you enjoy it, and it gives you joy in your life, good for you. But for me, if you really want to understand the heart of, if you really want to get the Zen part of Aikido, you have to give up your ego, and to give up your ego, you have to be brave. And like my teacher said to me, give up your strength. My strength? What are you talking about? I've worked so hard. I spent 25 years building up my strength. You said throw it away? Are you crazy? And when I did throw it away, I felt so lonely. It's like you're carrying around this heavy sack every day for 25 years, 50-pound sack, and you put it down, and you suddenly feel relief and, and lightness, but also you feel, my bag, my sack. You're lonely. I can't lean on that anymore. So I think that experience of having the power and then losing it and feel that loss and filling in that gap, I think is the intermediary stage.
What about the advanced?
Well, I think that path is someone everyone finds in their own way. They have to interpret in their own way. But in a shuhari, I'm talking about shuhari basically. If you want to put it in Japanese terms, you then you have to find your path, I suppose. I mean, like if you look at teachers, I mean, they didn't do what I did. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But they've arrived. Some of them arrived, and some of them didn't. For me, I feel that most of the people that I meet, they thought that when they were 30, they'd have this superpower Aikido, and they could just spin their, fling their hands in the air, and people would start flying. And then when they got to be 60 years old, they didn't have it, so they just started pretending to have it. Then they convinced people around them that they had it, and then people believed them that they had it. So they got into kind of a mutual delusional state. If that's what brings you joy, welcome to the Matrix. What can I tell you?
Well, I think that's a lot for people to digest.
Yeah, too much.
Really great stuff.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure being had.
And for those of you watching and listening, please don't forget to like or subscribe. Thank you.